tell you what, that's my college degree. My college degree is Marine Corps. I like that.
Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Again, welcome again, folks. I mean, we're living in some very interesting times right now. And as you note, we're here in the city of Portland, Oregon. I mean, the living room of the state of Oregon, i.e. Portland, Oregon. And it's going into a mass change, if you will, that we're looking at right now, politically speaking. That's another part, but it's changing. Our leadership, if you will, for the city of Portland is changing. And I know you've heard about it, but if you haven't heard about it, is that just some basic things that I'll be sharing with you. For instance, like as you know now, if you haven't known, the mayor of the city of Portland is Mayor Wheeler, okay, and then there's four city commissioners, and you've seen those individuals, and they basically represent the entire city of Portland. Each one of them does. So you got really six representatives, the five representatives. You got four city councilmen and one mayor. And what I mean by that, in all due respect, that's the old way. The new way is that the city is going to be districtized. You're going to have four different areas in the city of Portland, okay? And in each area, there will be three commissioners, three city commissioners, okay? And you figure four, that's 12 people. There'll be 12 commissioners now and one mayor. And then there'll be a city manager, a manager who will be basically managing the bureaus, all of the various bureaus. In the past, what we have today, right now, the mayor basically controls the bureaus. And he assigns them to the four existing commissioners right now. That's the way it is right now. But in the future, that's not going to happen. The mayor basically will be working with a city manager, kind of a city manager, and that city manager will be basically managing the bureaus. And the mayor then will be working pretty closely with the city manager, and then like I said, then you've got the other three commissioners per districts, okay, and so it's kind of like saying we're going to have many mayors. So every commissioner in a roundabout way, three commissioners, there will be three mayors in each district, so to speak. And sometimes people were wondering, well, what about the effectiveness? Well, in all due respect, I've been around for quite some time. One of the most difficult times, a lot of times, with our present system is that when you pick up the phone, if you got an issue and you call their various offices, you don't get a return call. And really, in most cases, and maybe you didn't contribute to the campaign or something like that. But it was a tough job. It's been around for quite some time. But the fact of the matter is, you now will be given, you will have the opportunity to call someone, and someone will pick up the phone. They'll pick up the phone to address your issue. I mean, I'll give you a good, for instance, District number 2. District number 2 is one of the largest districts, and by the way, they tried to equalize it from the standpoint in terms of population. So the population is equal in each of the districts that matter. So which is cool. But the district that identifies with one of the major issues in Oregon, i.e., city of Portland, is District 2, is in District number 2. So those commissioners are going to have they're going to be basically have access to the city as it sits where it is right now, and people pick up your phone. When you think about Portland School District, it's in District number 2. So consequently, if you get, when you hear this business about the failure rates of our young people that are going to the school, it's always been a problem. It's always been that there on the front page of the paper that Portland Public School has the highest failure rates in the state of Oregon. Well, guess what? We got 3 commissioners now that can focus on that particular problem. And what does that mean from the standpoint of this new election process that we're going to be getting 3 leads? These people that need to will then they should have and will have the background on what are the issues that are impacting the failure rates of the young people in this area. And that's very important. Very, very important. And then when you start thinking about that, you get right into the other issues. When the definition of gangs were being talked about, it identified with, guess what? District number 2. District number 2. When they talked about mental illness big time, District number 2. But realistically, Multnomah County was there, and then Multnomah County has districts, which is interesting. And it just so happened that they got 4 districts. But they got 1 commissioner per district. The county does, and then they got a chair. And then like I said, it's the largest district in the county district, and there's a district number 2. See, so now you got someone to talk to. You got 3 people to talk to 1 person. The city will have 3 people, and let's say 3 mayors, if you want to put it that way, and the county will have 1 person. So I'm just giving you a little history, a little background in terms of the breakup of what's going on right now, and we're going to be electing those folks in 24. Okay, that whole system that I just shared with you about what the mayor's kind of like, he's going to be doing, and we're going to have a city manager, we're going to have an auditor, and all that good stuff, and then the three city commissioners. Now, I might stress that it has been a pretty stressful situation with the present situation that we're sitting with right now today. Very stressful job when you've got 5 competing people for the entire city, and you have to run for office for the entire city. All 5 of those people that, to date, have to run for city council, and in most cases they have to have the monies to be able to communicate to the voting public within the city of Portland. Well, in this, under the new form of government, the commissioners will have to communicate with one area. With one area. Figure, let's say district number 2 would be North Portland, like St. John and things of that nature. City of Portland, that arena, so to speak. Jansen Beach. This all within the district aspect of it. So, so it won't be as expensive trying to reach out to everybody in the city. See, so saying that now is, where are we now? One of the things that people are demanding, and and how they were able to sell this to the public to get the right vote, is that they want some resolutions to some issues that are present really nationwide. But I'm just saying, but I'm talking about Portland, Oregon now. And what do you hear? Mental illness, homelessness, drugs, housing. Now, just to mention a few, there are a lot of others, but those are the main ones that folks are concerned with. And each district has a certain amount of concern with. But district number 2, carrying the biggest pack, because that's basically what all of the communication has been about of late. And there's not been any major solutions, because they're addressing it citywide as opposed to just one area. So I'm just saying, we're going to be able to, some things are going to be happening along that particular line. So with that, I'm going to give you an example, and that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to give you an example. To kind of share with the folks who are thinking about possibly running, about why it's so important to have a resume. I'm talking about you yourself have to have a resume if you're going to be running. You have to have some sort of background or some stories that shows that you can actively get in and resolve some of those problems. It's very important. So To give you an example, I brought with me today a young man that I've known for a number of years, and we met, and I reached out to him, because that's the key. I reached out to him, and I wanted him to come on, and I want you to meet him and let him talk about community up to a certain point, because he's been exposed to community. He's from the area. So I'm always asking the question, what about the folks who are presently sitting in these commission seats? Have they reached out to someone like that? That's what you should be doing. If you're going to be independent, if you're running for District 1, you need to identify specifically what is the major issue for District 1, District 2, District 3, and District 4. And so that's why I'm saying that's a very important piece. You got to have a resume, folks. We need leaders now.
Yeah.
You really can't be a lead if you don't have some sense of background, some history on that particular subject matter, because then you can't address the problem to solve the problem.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? And trust me, the person who might be making the problem will recognize the fact whether or not you have any background or not. They'll just keep on going. Like many of the commissioners, they can't get out there and talk to people and deal with folks who are familiar with those issues. They're looking for an out. You're looking for a solution for the majority. And then they're concerned with the person who may be doing these issues. But then you have to ask the question of that particular person, why are you doing it? What are your needs? And you know, what comes to mind, just basic stuff, would be basically say, you got to eat. And you just don't rob a whole bunch of, no, you got to eat, you can get a job. And the job has to be there in many ways. You got to get some sort of an education because you got to communicate. And you want a mortgage payment, whether it be a rental, but as time goes, you can buy a piece of property. But you got a home. And then you got a family. You know, and you've got to understand that. And that to me is part of the resume aspect of it. So anyway, now let's just get right in here, and I'm going to give this gentleman that I have with me today, and give you an example of where I was coming from the standpoint of somebody. He just happened to be living in District Number 2. He happened to live in District Number 2, and so I just thought maybe I'd bring him in here because he can identify with some of those issues. But I want you to meet this young person, and then we're just going to talk. We're going to get a little feel about his background and when he and I hooked up back when, and then bring him up to date, and then we're going to talk a little. If we have time prevents avail itself, we'll talk a little bit about maybe one or two of the issues. Do it that way too. Okay, good. So with that, I've got with me here Earl Riley. Earl Riley, he happens to be the president of Freedom Ministries, Inc. Freedom Ministries, Inc. That means a lot, by the way. In many ways, indirectly, he wears a collar because he's talking to the people from God's table. That's the lead. But he's got a collar, and he is somebody. Welcome, Riley.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good enough, buddy. Okay, Earl.
It's good to see you again.
All right, good. Well, with that particular note, let's introduce yourself. What about Freedom Ministries? Where is that?
Well, I mean, it's something in the concept that me and a close brother and friend of mine, we used to be in the streets together, and kind of came up and grew out of that. And that being said, Christ was the way for us to be able to make those decisions and have the mentality it takes to change. So we came up with the idea of, what do we have to offer? What do we have to bring to the table? How can we help our community? And what does that look like? And we understand what freedom is because we've left that type of life, and so we want to offer those tools and the insight to these young men and let them know that there is a way out. It's a simple choice, but by having the means and the support that you need, because most people when they go to that lifestyle is because they're looking for something.
Well, again, gotta eat,
Exactly.
And you got to feed those babies.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
family, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Respecting community, respecting neighbors, all that other good stuff.
Exactly.
But a lot of times you would think that there would be some schooling of some sort, that's what you'd get in right to begin with.
Right.
You're right? You got my point?
Exactly.
And to a certain degree, I mean, the church, the black church was always that way
Yes.
in many ways because one would go to black church.
Right.
And they'd have Bible studies and all kinds of good stuff, and they'd have food there during after church. You got me?
Yeah.
And all kinds of things. So you're right. Go on. Keep going.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. Everybody had their church, so everybody's looking for a home. And so a lot of these single parent homes, the father's missing. It doesn't feel like home.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so I do have a home, right? There's being Sharon Seventh-day Adventist. I've been a member of that for a long time.
A long time.
And it just so happens it's in District 2.
Yes.
On 22nd and Sumner. So it's one of the oldest standing churches out here in Portland. So, but I've been a member there. Not active. I'm in and out. I'm a human being. I got to work.
Right,
so
right.
sometimes that keeps me from doing that. And that's why we came up with this the organization. I took away from working so that I can be able to try to create this idea, this vehicle, if you will, to like try to help and get in the community and it's my way of giving back.
Oh, good.
Putting out there.
Good. Well, let's go back a ways. When did we first met?
Honestly, 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
20 years ago.
What was the circumstance at that time? Was that in the Marine Corps? Was that back
I think I was just out of college too, and I was married at the time. I'm no longer married now, but I was married. I had my kids. You brought me on the show,
Yep.
and he's always been a good guy, a good mentor. He's like, hey, we're gonna get this brother a job.
Yeah. That's right.
And kind of put me out there, so I appreciate that. But even at that time, I was part of an organization in the community, a nonprofit. It was called Positive Youth Development.
Yes,
I worked
remember
with
that.
Frederick Woods.
I remember that.
So I was doing
doing some of the
things.
stuff
I
there.
was already doing
Yeah,
that.
you were doing it. Yes, right.
I was already doing it, helping inside of schools, mentors, like Harriet Tubman, and taking kids out, doing things, just mentoring, being there. And a lot of these kids came from single parent homes, like all the issues we talking about, dealing with some of those issues. And so I've always been active in that. Obviously, life happens. You get married, kids happen.
Right,
you go
right,
to church
right,
and
right.
step away. But that lifestyle is never going away from you. It's always into you. So this is my way of coming back too.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I remember 20 years ago I was there,
Wow.
and you brought me on there, and it was funny running into you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's Bruce. Yeah, Bruce. And
Yeah.
knowing some of your friends. So,
Right,
yeah.
right, exactly. That was good. So the family,
Everybody's
Yeah.
good. My son, my oldest son is in college in Alabama. My oldest daughter's in college. Like, yeah, she's doing her thing. I got 3 youngest. They're schooling, doing well in school. So, yeah, everything's good.
that's good.
Just
That's
living
good.
life, trying to survive, trying to get
Right.
back.
Yes, that's right. I mean, very important.
Yes, sir.
Very, very important. Well, what's your feel for what's happening within the communities today, right now? What's your feel about it?
And
And all the changes.
for me, my heart, I feel like I want to say it. Well, I will say this. I have the compassion of God's heart on my heart. Like when I see, my heart's broken, I see the senselessness, and it's almost we're living in a land of lawlessness right now. I see cars take off and drive off right in front of the police, and the shootings has been very, very bad. And even within that, it still makes it hard for a taxpaying citizen like me to even get a gun, to protect myself. And so I have to heavily rely on the strength of God to get through things like that. You know what I mean? And not saying it's directly affected me, but I am affected because it's affected my community. So, but yeah.
Well, what about? But I'm just throwing some stuff on the table. What about the definition of homelessness? Have you guys delved into that in your ministries at all?
I think that's always been an issue, and I think a lot of churches and organizations do what they can to go out and feed, and it's just got a little bit more serious since, let's see, it's always been an issue, but 2020 hit and it just got a little bit worse. I've seen it. I was living right in the thick of it during the pandemic, and I seen homelessness just rise after that, after riots, and it was a pretty interesting time. It has become a very interesting time. So yeah, but we do what we can. We try to do what we can to help out, you know. But that part of it has also become violent as well. You know, living in the neighborhood, District 2, cars broken in all the time, stuff being stolen, homeless people standing right outside the condo where I lay and lay my head and stay. You know, so yeah, it is an issue. It's affecting us, definitely. Yeah. Speak out about it, do what we can, but you know, it's still there.
And then the mental illness, that's another issue.
Yeah.
That's kind of huge along
Well,
that line.
that and drugs.
Yeah, and the drug, the fentanyl. Now all of a sudden you got the. I mean, it's really sad that that there's no solution to the person that's taking them.
Right.
It's something like as if to say people are just lost, and they're looking for something just to kind of forget about it. But then after they've taken the drug, and then all of a sudden it's worn out, you got to do one of two things: you either wake up and go get you some more drugs, or you die where you sit.
That sounds pretty
That's the
depressing.
only option. That's all you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're looking for, as far as I'm concerned, and just an opinion of mine, and I think we all are for that matter.
Right.
I mean, how do we get out of that situation? I mean, how do we, where do we go, and are we reaching out far enough? And if we are reaching out, and we're reaching out with programs, I mean, non-profits,
Yes, sir.
and everybody's saying, I've got the solution to the problem,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, we still have a problem.
Yeah.
So that's another area there. Now it's neat to be able to have folks that will put up respond, if you will, to the grant or something of that nature.
Right.
And-
Well, I mean, I've always been raised too, you know, that it takes a community. You know, like you're pointing out, we have different entities within the community and organizations. I just feel like even when I stepped out to try to do Freedom Ministries, I spoke with a couple of other organizations, Ceasefire being one, and right as we speak, things are coming together. But I just feel like it takes all of us coming together cohesively and stepping out into these streets and making some of these things a non-issue. You know, like you talking about the city council. And
Yeah. I mean,
those seats, if you will.
because that's exactly why people are being elected. Folks don't understand what that means. You know, it's government, but it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The village, right? The village, the community.
That's what it should be.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that with this new makeup, that's going to happen.
Right.
And I'm doing, as far as I'm concerned, I want to be part of that team to sort of make that happen.
Isn't that why we're here?
You understand what I'm saying? I'm sure you would be interested along that particular line. My point is that all citizens are interested in getting the resolve.
Right.
And we have, as you say, we got to get together, get our heads together,
Yeah.
and come up with
Definitely.
something, because these are still human beings. These are still sons and daughters,
Right.
fathers and mothers.
Yes,
got me?
sir.
And I listen, those four right up front with you, and they got many of those. Right now, there's no family. There are families, but the identification of the community is that there are no families.
Right.
I mean, the parents are not taking care of the kids. You don't know where they are. You know, I mean, there's a responsibility that one needs to take along that line. But
The percentages are high. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I'm
they
sure
are.
there are parents that's out there doing their thing.
they're doing that.
Yeah, but yeah, it just makes it harder.
Yes, it does. It
Most
does.
definitely.
And I really think that I'd say 10% are really having some tough times.
Yeah.
The other 90% are there, but what we get is the 10%.
Yeah.
And it just keeps adding on, because that 10% can expand quite a bit.
Really fast.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
because poor kids are trying to make it, and families working now every day. It's pretty expensive, by the way, to live in a city like Portland.
Yeah, the cost of living is
The
going
cost
up
of living is going
every
up
year, right?
Every year, big time.
Yeah.
Big time, and as a result of that, things change. So we're as you say, we need to get this village thing together, and get people, and give a sense of of urgency, for that matter,
Most definitely, yeah.
and work this thing out. And that's why I'm liking the idea of this reorganization of the city. Now you got 3 representatives in that area, including then you got the county, because you got the county and the city. County has certain responsibility, and the city has certain responsibility.
Right.
But it should be all under one roof, so to speak. And so now, what about the whole issue with public safety? I mean, some of them. Have you noticed any of that?
As far as,
As far as the shootings and things of that nature,
yeah, I mean,
burglarizing, robbery. I mean, there's
it is.
always going to be a
It's
certain
definitely,
percentage.
it's definitely an issue.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
But if we want to talk about, it, let's
Right,
talk
right.
about the defunding of the police.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the lack of presence of the lack of the presence or lack of
Right.
presence of the police is an issue. We know that is, and so I remember talking about doing something with a security thing in neighborhoods watches.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes those things have to happen, and then making it to where the state is allowing those neighborhood watchers to be armed and to do what they can to protect their community too, because we have a defunded police, and there's not many around, sheriffs or and specifically District 2, right?
Oh yeah. I'm specific. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to deal with that piece. And after listening to what you're saying and sharing and what you're sharing, again, we asked ourselves our question. We asked the question: how did we get to that particular point that we shared it that way?
Right.
What was the definition of the defunding of the police? You got me?
Yeah.
Okay, and where did it happen? Okay, it happened at City Hall, and it happened under the present leadership that we have.
With all due respect, it happened in chaos.
Yes, in chaos, big time.
And those decisions were made in chaos.
That's right.
And that's why we are living in chaos.
That's right. That's
so
right.
to speak.
That's right.
Right now.
That's
right. Right this minute.
Yeah, right.
And so I understand these committees and things are being brought up and split up so that you can have more minds working on things and coming together to solve solutions within the community, but yeah, in chaos those decisions were made. And
Yes,
so
yes,
it's
right.
and I think out of emotion too. We got to lead with more than just emotion nowadays. It takes intellect, it takes experience, it takes wisdom, it takes love, right?
Yeah.
All those things. And it takes that faith-based piece where, you have something that's solid. You got the power of God that's holding you down,
And what I'm hearing also too, and thinking about how did that begin, I think about Floyd.
Yeah, George
I
Floyd.
think about Floyd.
That was an unfortunate situation.
Right, and it had an impact throughout this country.
Yeah.
Every state in the union.
Interestingly enough, it was a violent impact.
Yes, right. Very much so. Very much so. And then every city sort of operated, they responded accordingly.
Yeah.
And when you think about us, Portland, Oregon,
Right.
we responded, i.e., through the city, i.e., elected officials, right?
Right.
And they came up with the word defund. We got to defund the police. They're too big. They're doing this, this, that, and the other. And then you said, okay, fine. Well, the first thing they tried to make it personal in terms of who were the ones that defunded the police, and then they came up with one name,
Really?
Joanne Hardesty,
Oh,
city council person.
okay.
But it took 3 votes.
Interesting.
It wasn't just her. There were some other folks involved in the process too that voted for the process, and the mayor was one of those.
Sound like the classic
Mayor
case
Wheeler.
of
Yeah.
the fall guy.
See, and I think that was somewhat of a mistake that the media took it that way and sold it to the public, just in an open deal,
Right.
because we still have an issue of race within our city.
Right.
And our state, for that matter. Well, this country, for that matter, in many ways. So they put it in that particular arena, and then people took it another way.
Well,
As opposed to trying to address the issue, as if to say, okay, fine, then let's ask that question: why are we defunding the police? And then someone might say, well, okay, fine, well, they're doing this, that. Okay, so then let's address that issue, and let's figure out should we resolve this? Should we resolve this? Or why did this happen? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that to me would have been a better course than what we've got today, because we do need public safety.
Yes.
We do need law enforcement aspect of it.
Right.
And so we did get one positive entity. We have a walk patrol now, just like you're saying with the neighborhood watch kind of a stuff. But they had a walk patrol downtown Portland.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah.
And they thought that was great. So that means that since we didn't have as many officers that we were supposed to have had, supposedly, that group kind of took a lot of the pressure during the daylight hours. But then the mistake at times is as if to say it might be downtown, but what about the community?
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of drive-by shootings and all this and stuff. People were very nervous in the community and this and that. The only point I'm making is that now that we're going to be having 3 commissioners per district, we may not respond that way as much. We might have the right press conference, if you will, and you got 3 commissioners talking to the issue of solutions.
Exactly. Yeah.
3 heads as opposed to 1.
Right.
Right, got me? And specifically targeting an area. You got me? And then the commissioners, well, it's going to be diverse.
Yeah.
It's the issue.
It should be diverse.
And the issue ain't diverse. It's fact. It's one. Right. So how do we deal with that piece? So
I mean, that's going back to the race thing too. Like
Yeah.
you said, there's an issue of race, and I feel like when it's talking about the committee part, we need to think of the people. Period.
Yeah, right,
And the people is diverse. So
yes,
here in Portland, we're
big
diverse.
big time.
So we can't grow as a community or as a whole if we don't think
Yeah.
for the people.
That's right.
Yeah, we got the black community, we got the Latino, we have whites. We're all here together.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So it should be an issue of the people. We got to do what's best for everybody collectively. You know.
Well, terms that one can say, as opposed to, as you say, as the black community, it's a community where a number of the residents happen to be black. And the majority of those residents happen to be white.
Right.
And another group may be Latino.
Right.
And then you can break the whites down for the Irish and Italians and Jewish and, just go right down the line. But like you said, we're already divorced. I mean, and to handle that problem, we got to be all together to deal with the issue.
Right.
And so hopefully when they look at the folks who are elected to office,
Right.
it's in a diverse kind of a mindset.
Exactly.
And we're going to be dependent upon the media, if you will, to be able to do that. Because
because we got to get that race piece out of that.
They got to get that race piece out.
We got to get it out.
It's got
Because when you focus on just one, I mean, we know that the black community have issues.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We know there are other communities out there that have issues.
Yes, that's right.
But why is it that when we talk about gang violence, it's the
always
black community?
Yeah.
And we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, just like drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, when that first thing started, the little weed or whatever, I'm saying like that.
Yeah.
Well, even where I came from, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
The little weed, it identified with the other things.
Yes, sir.
We just leave it at that way. But it wasn't a violent kind of a deal.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they twist that whole narrative.
You sure did.
Yeah.
Different ball game.
Yeah.
So, but it's gotten just totally out of hand now.
Yes.
And in all due respect.
I mean, in certain aspects, certain drugs now is legal. You can get.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're helping them out with it.
That's right. That's right. Like fentanyl. When I saw this latest thing on fentanyl, I said, "You got to be kidding me." They were saying the county, in all due respect, because they were responsible to a certain degree on the drug thing and the drug thing aspect of it. They were basically trying to get policy and get monies to basically hand out packets to people to show how to use fentanyl.
Yeah, and that's interesting to me because we also deal with the issue of mental illness.
Yeah.
We're causing mental illness when we do this. And again, going back to my original statement, chaos. These laws and these things were passed in the midst of chaos. I know it's been up to two and on the table for a while, right? But then they got pushed down and pushed across. Somebody said, okay, forget it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and now look at our streets infested. Going to bathrooms, finding syringes,
Yep.
stuff on the ground. Like
Yep.
what? That's why people talk about our city, Portland, as if it is a grotesque, but really it's a bunch of beautiful people here. The city is gorgeous,
Yeah,
right?
yep, it is. It is.
But a couple of laws being passed and just has us looking a certain way, and it's, you know, those things could be changed.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Those things can be talked
big
about.
time,
Yeah.
big time. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I had a friend of mine just used up that piece aspect. Then I started thinking about some of the agency aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, transportation is getting to be kind of like a need, a necessity now.
Yeah.
People can't afford those electric cars.
Yeah.
That's a pretty spendy piece.
Yeah.
$70,000-$80,000 a shot.
Which is interesting because, you know, we're a pretty green type of
Yeah, yeah. Very much
state,
so.
right?
Bicycles.
It just makes sense that people should be driving.
That's right. That's right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes. Well, how do you get from A to B?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? See, so that again, like I said, there's so many things to the solution of the puzzle,
Yeah.
and like we're doing now, having a discussion about it.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're doing. We're talking solutions, right?
Right.
You got me? And just as an example, 'cause people are looking, and for instance, the homeless piece. That's a pretty heavy piece.
It's pretty heavy.
I mean, all those people that are out there, and the homeless especially, all those Americans, they had jobs at one time.
Right. It did.
They retired in many ways.
You know, I've like you said, we talked about working with the homeless, and I've been out there, and you know, you have conversations with them, and they all talk about a failed system,
Yeah, right.
and why they decided not to be a part of the system. Some of them are veterans too.
Hey, oh yeah.
A lot of
veteran.
them,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of them just feel hurt by the system. And so that's why they don't want to like be involved. They would just give up, rather give up. You know, I just feel like if there was a sense of hope,
Yep.
maybe that could change that.
Yep. Well, it's on that point when you made the point about veterans. That's one of the reasons why I wear this cover,
I know.
because I was in the military and the Marine Corps, and you know, here I am sitting up in my nice creative ways of age, and I'm still involved, and I've got a so-called an NA that I identify with. It's called No Vets Left Behind.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And
Yes, sir.
I'm in my lane in that particular area. I educate veterans to get back in line
Right?
to receive their benefits.
Amen.
A lot of
Because
them,
they're there.
they're there. They're there, physically there, and traditionally, in most cases, the military is not one when you get in there where they reach out in the boot camp to teach you something. Then after that, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're employed. You got a MOS, military occupational skill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everybody's got a job.
Right.
See, so I'm saying that
Much like it sounds like a gang to me. No, I'm just-
that's right. That's fact. That's right. We were definitely named all together.
Yes, sir.
we had nobody to take nothing else off because we were all the same.
Exactly.
We were all in one community aspect of it. But like you said, you know, the idea is that a lot of these guys are in the military, they've got benefits, but they've just lost a sense of being, if you will, and they just, because they're told to get in line, because they were taught that in boot camp for sure, and all you do is wait until your time comes up, right?
Right.
But when they've lost track of that, and my job is to remind them, and that's how I do. I basically communicate with those vets. I always ask them, one, were you in the military? Do you understand what a DD-214 is all about? That's your degree. That's your certificate of degree. And then once they tell me that they are, I'll ask them what their MOS was, and then they'll do that piece.
But these are the same people also. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah, sure, no
to cut
problem.
you off.
Yeah.
These are the same people also that they're also taking advantage of these free drugs, or the drugs that we shouldn't have.
Oh, yes.
These are the ones taking advantage of those and missing out on their benefits to
That's
actually
right.
be better and get
That's
off
right.
the street.
That's right. And
I mean, it's an issue.
No, it is an issue. It is an issue, and I'm addressing all of them, because even some of them have gotten discharged, bad discharge. Well, there's an opportunity to expunge that, get that off your record, and get clean. But you got to get back into the system, and that part of my job is to communicate with them,
Yes.
and to get them take him by the hand and take him down to the VA and say, okay, fine, this guy's got this, that, and the other. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then get him motivated if you can. And then you'd be surprised to see when you go to a veteran facility, when a veteran, let's say if he was in a homeless kind of condition, all this, that, and the other, whatever, when he walks in that, he doesn't throw cigarette butts out there on the ground. He sits up erect. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Because he's gone through that training, that OJT piece aspect of it. He recognized that. And when he sees my cover, they recognize that.
Exactly.
It's a brother.
Right.
It's like a brother and a sister. I treat them like a brother and a sister.
Yeah.
And they
As you should, like we talking about the people.
Exactly, the people aspect of it. And as a result of that, I've got some good successful stories behind those people. And I talk to all veterans. Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force.
That's
Coast Guard,
inspiring. That's
and
definitely
I do the
inspiring,
whole 9 yards, and it makes me feel good, makes them feel good.
Amen.
And when they see me and they recognize who I am and vice versa, and then I share my stories with them, and they got stories, got my point. And I'm saying, now if they're not in the military, it takes an extra, and I don't stop at the person that's just a military person. I reach out to anybody out there.
Like you did with me.
Just right. That's what we're doing now.
Oh, man. That's
Yeah,
right.
see, I'm just saying, hey, look, what can we do here? You got background, you got stories, and you got something that could contribute, if you will, to the solutions as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, sir.
Because I've got the kind of background that I can recognize those situations. Right? You got me?
Yeah.
And because no man's an island. It takes a community, as you say, it takes a village to raise this child, right? You got
That's
me?
right.
And so we're all
And Portland's feeling like a stranded child.
Hey, buddy, but guess what? We got to get back to the table, and there are some changes. I still go back to the whole idea of the new city council piece aspect of it.
Yeah.
And even now, before it's changing, folks are jumping on the table. You got me? I'm finding that the city commissioners are all kind of like looking at running for mayor. All of them want to run for mayor.
Wow.
So you say, well, why do you want to run for mayor? First off, you got a job to do now. You elected now. You got a job, and I want you to do your job. So show me that, in fact, you are deserving to run for another office. So right now,
right now it's looking pretty bad.
That's right, because you're supposed to be sitting up there solving the problem, and you are trying to run for. No, you haven't solved the one you got elected for. I mean, I'm not trying to be so hard on them or whatever, but they need to recognize that. So spend the time, and I'll tell you one person.
I mean, they need somebody to be able to talk on it and speak on it and tell the truth about it.
That's right. That's why I'm doing it right now. Now, there's only one person of that whole clan, the city council, that's actually doing that, and is recognized.
Who's that?
And that is Mayor Wheeler.
Yeah.
The Mayor Wheeler is basically, and I've had my issues with him. I ran against him twice, just basically trying to get him at the table, just where you're sitting. But he never came. He was still in boot camp.
Okay.
See? But he's come out of boot camp. And my point of what he's done of late is that he said, no, I'm not running for mayor. I got a job to do. I'm going to spend my time at City Hall up to the time that I was elected, up to that particular time. And I want to solve some problems. And he even got to the point where he's saying, okay, fine. Well, I've assigned the bureaus to the other commissioners.
Right.
But guess what? I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to just take all those bureaus out now, and I'm going to work on those up to the time I'm going to be gone.
Hey.
And say the other commissioners, well, and he was kind of like hitting them. That's what I heard out of it. Was that look, you're supposed to do your job. If you did your job, you could get reelected overnight with no problem.
I hear you.
But right now, I'm just saying, perception. Why should I reelect you? And you haven't solved the problem. Don't blame the mayor. I want you to blame the mayor.
Right.
You had the bureau. You had an assignment. I'm looking. I'm playing just as if it's a military situation. He's the captain of the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else, the Swabies or something.
We're following your leadership.
You understand where I'm coming from, see?
Yes.
And so anyway, I'm glad we brought that piece up because that's a very important piece. Because other folks are going to be looking for leaders. Yeah. And I'm sitting there saying, that's the kind of leadership we need to look at. Like I said, the definition of the mayor today as opposed to his definition when he first got into politics.
Right.
When he first got into politics, he had no lane or no definite whatever. But now, as far as I'm concerned, through all of that chaos, he's come out with a very positive one. Because now when I look at him now and see how and the action and where he's at, he's always in the front of the camera, and I don't see the other commissioners.
Yeah.
He's out there by himself. You know, for instance, he's made some statements like things like, well, what I'm going to do, we're going to vote on something to take all of the homeless folks off the streets downtown. That was good.
That's awesome.
That was a good piece.
Yeah.
But then now those other commissioners would be saying, the question would be, okay, well, where are you going to put them, and what are you going to do with them now? Okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, and you do this. Well, they didn't jump up out there and say, okay, fine, Mayor. Well, I'll do this, and I'll help do this, and I'll help you do this as routine. Or even from the county standpoint, he just went out there and said that, and then all of a sudden, then there were some folks fighting, saying, well, we don't need to take them out. Wait a minute, give me a break. You got to pick them up to vet them out. One, to find out how many people are on the streets, and two, to find out what the problem is. I mean, that's simple to me. So how can you do that? Well, to me, it's very simple. When you have an earthquake in an area, what happens? They pick everybody up.
Yeah.
The National Guard picks them up, take them to a location, vet them out, clean them all up. Right?
And realistically, if you do it correct, you got another boat.
That's right. But they don't know because the media said, no, we don't need that because that military stuff is this, that. Give me a break. Public safety. That's the way we clean stuff up.
Yeah.
To pick up human beings.
Because the more people you got homeless on the street doing drugs, the more crime you got.
That's right.
Realistically.
That's right.
Yeah. You got to look at it for what it is.
That's right. That's right. Because when they get in that compound for vetting, it's not a jail for vetting. They will reactivate the guard. Doctors and all kinds of folks will come there for the meals and get their shots and this, that, and the other, and take those illegal guns away. And the ones who are illegal, they'll put them on the side, say, you can pick this up after you get yourself together. They can fill out, well, do they need a job, or this or that, or you join Social Security, all that kind of good stuff. You know what I mean? And then recognize how many houses you need. Do you live in a house, or you got a problem over here? It just makes like a natural way of doing, because we already have something within our society. That's what they do. That's their job. And then you can take some of that extra money and put that in there. And when I was in the military, whenever you did something extra over and beyond what your job is, they call it hazardous pay. They added a little few more dollars to it, see? They could take some of that money that they got all that money, don't know what to do with, put it in the pot, and give that to the National Guard to give some of these people hazardous pay. And they're neighborhood folks. These folks, the National Guard, are folks, it's like a state, it's like a militia, right? And they live in the community.
Right.
And they're activated. So consequently, if they're getting that extra bucks, the wife at home will feel comfortable about that. No problem to a certain degree. And then at the same time, they're eating, right?
Exactly.
And
thus, you're taking care of the community.
You're taking care of the community. You're taking care of the community.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, that's the big picture here. This is the big picture.
So I'm just throwing it on the table. I just because I got a little background, and that's where I came from. I was trained that way.
Yeah.
To understand that way, just simplicity is me. And I'm not.
No soldier left behind.
Yeah, that's it. That's. And then and then I guess, as we're talking here now, and then hopefully the viewing audience will sort of like take the format that we're dealing with right now, and get that
as a template, if you will.
Template, right? Get together with the neighborhood on your side of the street there. Just get that neighborhood watch. We used to have a neighborhood watch here in our city.
We need a community watch.
We got a community watch aspect of it, right? And then you put police in there too at the same time.
Yeah.
Public safety officers.
You got a lot of retired cops out
right.
here.
And the guys don't have to carry everybody don't have to carry a weapon. You got me? But the idea.
I mean, if you're American, you should.
Well, you got to have something because you never know nowadays.
I'm just saying, especially with the crime. I mean, if you're American, you should carry.
Oh yes.
I mean, I'm about that. Really.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah.
That's good. But see, people need to be educated.
Yeah.
and talk to the rationale for that
Man, I
deal.
want my Second Amendment. I want to exercise that.
And that's right. That's right. That's right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, some people have been buying guns. They don't even know what end to put. I mean, it's that bad.
It is that bad.
It's that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I.
Not enough education. We're lacking the education.
That's right. That's right. That's very much so. So that's what I'm saying is on the homeless
And that's
thing,
what Freedom Ministry is. That's what we're going to be about too. I mean, allow a man to be a man and give him the freedom to do it.
Right. Right.
You know.
Right.
With as much support as we can, but God being the ultimate resource. But yeah, that's what it's about.
Well, look, I think we're running pretty good right now. We got about another 8 minutes. I think we're doing right now, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Steve's. I say that's right. Okay, good. Got that. Got about 8 minutes more. So let's just kind of recap some of the things that we give back to the viewing audience. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
One, the fact of the matter is you're here, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with them emulating, as you said, that template. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reach out to your neighbor.
Right.
Reach out to your neighbor next door.
Exactly.
And try to form a neighborhood watch kind of a deal. Communicate with your neighborhood watch aspect of it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that when this election thing comes up, if you've got someone that has background and a resume, and then you may want to refer them to say, would you want to consider running for office?
Okay.
Because we're going to need some people to sit in those positions. But we don't need no OJT, on the job training right now. we need graduates of boot camp.
You need people with experience with
That's what I'm saying.
the people.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying. You got to have somebody. They got to have a lane.
Yeah.
And they got to be able to communicate.
Right.
You got to be able to communicate. Just
Right.
like law enforcement officers, they got to be able to communicate. That's the top priority. They got to be able to communicate. They got to be able to walk up to an incident, if you will, and you got a marital dispute. You got to communicate first, right?
Right.
Otherwise, you don't want to get in the middle of them. Then you got a problem. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that the viewing audience hear where we're coming from.
Exactly.
You know, hear where we're coming from. We're just an example. We're just talking about it. And if you got a need to get a better feel of what we're talking about, you can call me at 503-701-0457. 503-701-0457.
All right.
Or just call Open Signal. They know exactly where to get me. You know what I'm saying? But understand, when you call me, I don't need to hear no fingerprint. I want to hear about solutions to the problems that exist in your neighborhood, in our community. Got my point?
Yes.
And if it's something that's solid as a rock, so to speak, then tell the person to call. We'll have them sitting down here talking with us.
Yeah.
To educate the people. I don't know everything.
Yeah.
But what little I know is based on my history and my stories and my background.
Right.
And then, but right now we need people that's got some experience. That's that background.
The community needs those people.
Big time. And that's going to be the electorate that's going to be coming up. So don't get
And
don't
if
get
you're in the
fooled.
community now, you're watching this.
That's right.
Just do it with an open heart and open ear, of course. But just think about your community and what
Yeah,
it
right.
needs.
Exactly.
Look around you.
In fact, they can even. How about yourself? Can they call you maybe if you line up?
Well, right now, because Freedom Ministries are just our website's under construction, but
Okay.
it will be freedomministriesinc.org.
Oh, really?
They can
Wow.
go there now. It's not up yet.
Okay.
but,
Well, anyway, we gotta have you. We gotta have you back. You understand? You got a partner with you too.
Oh yeah. A close friend of mine and brother, Fonte Gladden. He has quite a background as well.
Okay,
He
good.
was a Muslim.
Okay.
Bounty hunter.
Okay.
So when I talk about the neighborhood watch and the defunding
had
the
that
police,
background.
he understands what that's about. He understands security.
Oh, great. That's
He understands
fantastic.
community.
Oh, great. That's great. That's great.
So yeah, and that's what we're working on, man. And also if you're out there and you're listening from the community, reach out too, and anything, everything helps.
Right, good,
Like we
good.
said, it takes a village, right?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Very much
Yeah.
so. So we need to keep that in mind. It's very, very, very important
Yes.
aspect of it. So again, to those of you who are watching the show, share the show, by the way.
Yeah.
Share the show with your friends and whatever. And see if you can sit together a small neighborhood session
Yeah.
to talk about solution and solving the issues. And if you have some idea of Well, if you don't have the ideas, you can call. Like I said, you can call up Open Signal and ask, and I'll refer it. I'll refer them just like with Earl, who's sitting here with me right now, because that's what the candidates. That's what I'm saying. In fact, these folks that are sitting out in the that are sitting on city council now, you need to be talking and reaching out. That's in fact that was your job to begin with. In fact, I called a city commissioner who was running for mayor today, yesterday for that matter, and just tried to talk, reaching out with him and say, hey, you said you want to run for mayor. Well, then just come on the show and let me ask you the question as to what's your resume? See, first thing I want to ask you, and I'm just being upfront. You know, the first thing I was going to ask the person is, well, what are you doing now? What was your job now?
Mm.
And what have you done?
Preach. No, I'm just
What have you done now? And what are you doing with for Mayor Wheeler? Mayor Wheeler made the statement that he's thinking about taking those beers. I think that's what he should do. Unless these other commissioners make the point that, Mayor, no, I'm going to do my job. What do I need to do?
I just think for the sake of mental illness, and some people will even argue the fact that they did it for mental illness, the drug thing. And that just it seems like an oxymoron.
That's right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
He's
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you very much. So.
You know.
But we are in a crisis right now,
Yeah.
and we need all the help we can do and draw.
Solutions, answers right away.
Exactly. And I plan to focus on that element throughout the election.
Yes, sir.
Very, very much into it. So some has predicted some 100 people, but gee, if we had 100 leaders, we saw this overnight.
Man.
There's enough pot and the monies to be handed out. We can get them to have an association and they can do it, solve the problem within 2 weeks. If you got 100 people running, and if they all got the same, if they all got solution-oriented ideas, but I haven't seen that yet.
Wishful thinking.
Well, that's how we start, right?
Well, yes, sir.
But I want to thank you very, very much, Earl. This has been a pleasure, and
Thank you for having me on, man. And we talked and connected again. I was like, I still, I thought about that cry. I cried on that show. I was like, man,
Yes.
I can't believe somebody looking out for me like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
so-
yeah.
But just that aspect. This has always been the community that I grown up when I went to high school in this community, and so
Yes,
it's just this is home, right?
it's right. Sure, bring back memories.
Yeah, it's
right,
home.
right there on MLK. You know where that building is, right
Yeah.
there. You know where that building is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah, that was a very interesting. They got murals on it now. You've seen that.
I've seen that. Yeah.
They got murals on it right now. I got those down. I got those on there.
Right on.
And a lot of folks didn't know why that was there. There's a history there. There's still a history there.
Yes, sir.
On that particular show aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're there now, and we're going to say that. Let's see, we got about another 1 second or so. About 1 second or so, and then we're ending the show. Well, folks, thank you very much. Do join us next week, and we'll have another good show to share with you about reaching out. And let's see if we can prepare ourselves to resolve the problems that we're having here in this beautiful city of ours, Portland, Oregon. Take care. God bless.